One of the things we're being asked more and more about is employing people who are outside of the UK. And so if you're in that situation where you want to engage someone who's not based here in the UK, either to work here in the UK or to remain employed outside of the UK on a remote basis, then you can watch this section of the video and it will tell you a little bit more about the questions that you need to be asking and perhaps things to think about. So first of all, if you're going to want to offer employment to somebody who is not in the UK yet, but you want to bring them over here to work in your business, you will need to ensure that they have the right to work in the UK. Now, if they don't have a British passport or they haven't got any sort of visa to work here, then you are going to have to sponsor them by applying for a sponsor license to be able to add them to your sponsor license and get them a visa, usually a skilled worker visa. That is quite a complex situation where you will need to probably take specialist advice. I wouldn't try and do this on your own. It can be quite costly if you get it wrong, and obviously you are taking on certain legal responsibilities in becoming a sponsor. So take some advice around that. What you probably want to do before you go down that route is just make absolutely sure they do have no other way of working in the UK, so they can't go on as a dependent of somebody else's visa, or they don't have any other ancestral rights to work in the UK. So make sure you've exhausted those avenues first. If the only option is to get them a skilled worker visa, then you will need to go down the route of applying to be a sponsor. And like I say, I'm more than happy to chat to you about that and what that involves. If you are wanting to employ someone who isn't going to work in the UK, but who's going to be part of your business but working from overseas, you've also got a couple of options. So first of all, you could engage them as a consultant on a normal consultancy agreement, and you would just pay them the gross and they would sort out their own kind of tax locally in accordance with the local requirements. The risk there is you are not going to be compliant with the local laws around employment. So, for example, here we have employment status and IR35. Other countries like Germany, for example, also have quite stringent laws around that, and you're going to run into risk there because you're employing someone in a way which isn't going to be deemed to be compliant locally. So do take some advice around that, around where you're actually wanting to employ. The only way for you to be completely compliant is to set up your own legal entity locally, which can be very, very expensive. And if you're looking to do this in lots of different jurisdictions, probably very inefficient. So there is another way that you can employ people overseas by using an employer of record. An employer of record is a company which is set up with entities all over the world where they can employ your individual, your employee on your behalf, and then that person is seconded back to you as the host organisation. So as the employer, you become the host organisation, you manage that person day to day like any other employee, you're responsible for their line management, but you aren't the legal employer. The legal employer is the employer of record. It's an amazing way of enabling you to expand globally without the onerous process of setting up legal entities all over the place. And obviously, if you're not sure that you're going to remain in that jurisdiction for long periods of time, you probably don't want to have lots of different legal entities all over the world. So the employer of record is a fantastic way of enabling, global expansion without that kind of hassle. So this is something we support clients with. So if you are looking to expand globally and you want to do that in a fairly agile way, we can get people onto the employer of record system and issue their employment contract in a matter of weeks. And then you'll just have one single payment to the employer of record for all of the places where you have people around the world. They will also take care of things like making sure you give the right public holidays, making sure you provide the right benefits, pension, obviously sorting out local taxation, social security, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a really amazing way of enabling you to grow without only being based in the UK. So hopefully that's helpful.